Hello crafters! Well, we're back and we're going to get started on the inside of our book. So this is what we have done so far. I did add in one item. I added in this cream paper into here and I just cut it about 1 3/4, just shy of 1 3/4 by about 4, and then I just cut off the top of it. I'm probably going to put some beads in here because I couldn't get it to go down this far. So probably it would have been better if I had put something behind it when I put it on there. So that might be a good note to think of. Otherwise, I'm just going to use my little black beads to put on the end of here. But let's get going. We're going to work on page 1 for hinge 1, and we'll get started on that. So first of all, what I've done is this page is actually looks like a couple different pages. So I'm going to do a couple things different, and let's just see. I'm going to see how it works this time. I used foam tape in here, and I don't like the way it looks. So I'm actually going to just use some chipboard this time. It's up to you. You can use foam tape or you can use chipboard. I'm going to see how it works this time with, it's a thin chipboard, and it's actually, I bought it at Country Craft Creations. And then we're going to put this flap on, and this is also a part of page 1. This whole thing is page 1. This goes into page 2 on hinge 1. So we're going to see how far we get with this today and our time and everything. But for sure we'll get this done, and we'll work on to this, and we'll see if we get to this as well. Alrighty, so let's get going. I have my paper cut already. So for the flap, what you're going to want to cut is a piece of navy blue cardstock, and you're going to want it 9 3/8 by 10 1/8, and then you're going to take and score at 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch because we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of a gusset in there. So score at 1/2 inch and then 1/4 inch. So we have a 1/4 inch gusset. The pattern paper then is cut at 9 1/4 by 9 1/4. And then the pattern paper itself is, I used, of course, vintage photo around the edges on that all the way around. So I'm just going to come in here, and I want to just miter those. And grab one of your pages that you've completed and make sure that you have them sitting right, so that this is your going on your hinge and this is for your insert. I'm just going to turn it sideways because it's easier for me to get the page on if I turn it sideways. And I'm going to get my art glitter glue. And we're going to put the glue just on the 1/2 inch piece of our... I actually ended up cutting mine just a little bit smaller. So if you see that it's a little bit smaller than yours, the one in the original book was the size that I gave you, but this one is slightly smaller by about 1/8 inch. And I decided I wasn't going to change it because it's just fine the way it is. But so, you know, sometimes we make those measuring mistakes, especially when we get into 1/8 and 1/16, and you know, sometimes I think the 1/8 is the 1/16 and vice versa. So I'm just not going to fret about it, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. But I gave you the right measurements. So I'm just going to score that. So it will lay nice and flat for us. And see, it's a little bit off right down here and up here for me, but you know, that's hardly even going to show with everything that is there. So Then get your pattern paper, and we are going to put our pattern paper down. And again, vintage photo all around the edges. Sorry for all the noise of that. Sorry. My apologies, I'm just not seeing very well here today. There we go. And if anything, if you need a little bit of a wider trim or edge on it, you're better off to have that on the folding edge, a little bit wider edge than the outside of that because of the bend in your hinge. So next what we're going to do is we actually are going to put together our frame that is going to go on this this flap. And I'm going to lay that down a little bit flatter. And in doing this, I'm in, you know, like I said in some of those other in my past tutorials here, I try different things all the time. I try to work out what works best for me and what worked, what didn't work. So one of the things that I want to change this time is I used, like I said, the foam tape on the frame. And this time I cut out, you can see this is a very thin piece of chipboard and my navy blue cardstock, very thin. But what I wanted to do was to get this down onto my navy blue frame, and then I'm going to adhere it onto this. And I prefer not to put plastic over them, and the reason being is because I hate it when I look at a picture and it's all shiny and I can't see it. So yeah, I know what I also did, where you see all these black lines, is I just edged the inside here and the outside in black. And then what we're going to do is I'm also going to cut off this edging here so that it gives me a little bit more leeway into the frame itself. I was thinking about leaving it in and seeing if it would work. I haven't done that before. I could maybe try it this time and see if it'll work. Maybe I'll just try it, and if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, here, I guess I can test that really. I just didn't want it as fat as I had done it the last time. So, and this is just a template so that you can put a picture or, you know, the card onto your frame. So I think we're going to be okay. I think maybe if I just leave that shy of glue, and I can always cut it afterwards. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get, oh, I guess I'm sorry. So on the frame itself, the size of the frame, I guess I should tell you that would be good. It is 5.5 by 7. So it's 5.5 by 7. And then I just made a 1-inch border all the way around. And then once I cut that out, then I just drew it on the back of my navy cardstock and then cut it out. And I cut it out with my tonic knife. Seems to work pretty good. And then we'll put together the outside of the frame. So let's get that done. And I'm sorry again if I'm forgetting something. I don't do it intentionally. You know, my last tutorial went kind of long, and I just wasn't sure if people enjoyed it that long. So I was trying to get a little bit more cut ahead of time. Alrighty. So I'm going to take my navy blue frame here. Like I said, what I can do is, this is left open, so if I want to, I can still cut that off quite easily, and no matter. And actually, I'm wondering if I shouldn't do that cut to right there, or to right here. I can always do it later. So the other thing is with this flap, I cut this flap to be 6 inches by 7, and then our score at a 1/2 inch, so that you have a flap for your frame. And then this is actually going to sit right on top of here. All right. So let's just do one test here. Let's just see how this goes in. Well, it seems to go in. The one thing that I didn't like about the foam tape is that I put it down this side and this side, and this side, and I pretty much left this open, and I felt like this was so flimsy for such a long time that I don't know, it was just difficult. So I'm going to take this frame and I'm going to glue it down onto this flap. Not gluing the top though, remember. You can glue along the edges here, but leave additional room all the way around, so that depending upon the size of the picture that you want to put in there, or if you don't want to put a picture in, that's fine too. But you need to leave some additional room. All right, and we've got that open, fairly open there. So I'm going to do that, and this is going to fit on the middle of this page. And then the matting for the frame is I cut out, this is actually on the other side of that floral paper, I cut out the green. And what these are all 3/4 of an inch. And they're going to fit around the edge of the frame. For some reason, some of these ended up being a little bit wider than others. So I'm going to just make sure that I have the right ones for the right sides, in case my measuring was a little bit off. One of the things that's important to do, because we're going to miter the edges on here, if you miter the edges when you go over this, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you keep these two together like that, or even if you did it no, you want to keep it right to the corner, so then you can do a cut on that and it can be even. The one thing that I did the last time, and it's the first time I ever actually did this mitering on this frame, is I didn't keep my frame pieces all together. So what I ended up doing was I had to figure out which end fit with which end. So that was a little bit difficult for me. So what I'm actually going to do, and we're going to see how it works. See, again, I'm trying something new. I'm going to put these down and then not glue down the other side. But I just don't want to get off on my frame edges like I did the last time. And I can always, as long as I don't glue them all the way down until I get there, I should be pretty good. So get this one down. Now, other people might do this differently. Everybody has their own little way of doing something, and I'm going to see if this works this time. So that I get, I wanted to make sure I had cleaner corners than what I had on the other frame. Not that they were bad, they just weren't quite as good as I wanted them to be. Now see, I glued that down too far. I shouldn't have done that. So let's get our other piece in here. Match that up around in there. So I'm going to put that down right onto there, and I'm going to use my clothespin and then pull that up. Let me see if I can even do this. Nope, that didn't work. Is somebody screaming at me out there, like, do it a certain way, because I'm not seeing what I should do? There we go. I think that might work. There we go. Well, it is certainly a bright and sunny day here in Wisconsin. How is it by everybody there? Is it just as beautiful? Hoping it is, because we sure need that sunshine just to kind of lift up our moods a little bit with all this staying in the house stuff. There we go. See, even this I didn't get quite right. Ah, well, not to worry. They're handmade, right? That's what I keep telling myself. And then some of these little bits and bobs, of course, I'm not going to keep any of these little pieces, but the other little end pieces I will keep until the very end, just to make sure that if I want to use it for tags or the like, I have something I can use. Ugh. Thought I was so smart, huh? All my secrets are out now. All the mistakes I make. So let's just put that in there. And I'm gonna, all right. That's a little off right there, so I'll just fix that angle. You can put that down. That works. Sorry, it's not fun to, when things aren't working out the way you want them to. But we go on. It should work just fine. It's a little bit off right there. It was the way I was holding the paper on there, but I'm going to leave that because we're putting edges on that anyways, so not sure I'll try this again, even though I thought it would be successful this time. I think I'll try a different way the next time. Come along on my adventures. So the other thing that we're going to add on to here is I'm going to put some metal edging on here, or corner. And these are from the old Butterbee scraps. And it is HD 901-B. That's the corners that I'm going to be using on here. And I'm just putting them on with my art glitter glue. The thing is, with the art glitter glue, it does dry clear, so if there's some poking out in there, I'm not too worried about it because it'll fade away into the background. See, it makes our frame look like the edges are perfectly mitered, even if they're not. You know, it's like they say, we can always see all our own mistakes, but most people wouldn't even notice the mistakes that we made. But neither here nor there. So is everybody getting ready for Easter? Anything special? Staying socially distant? We posted a picture today of my daughter has one of those running Peloton machines. And part of her reasoning for buying it was she wanted to put the dogs on it. And so we posted a picture of the dogs running on the Peloton today because of not getting to get to the dog park like we were, and they're big dogs, so they need to have some activity, and we live in a condo, so we don't have a fenced-in yard, which would be awesome if we did. All right. Then before I put this down, what I'm also going to do is take on, for the back of this, we're going to make the matting, but I'm also going to mat the back of this. And the mat for the back of that, thought I had it written down, but I don't think I do. The mat is 5 1/8 by 6 7/8. So I'm going to put that down on the back of this. And that's the way it's going, no, it'll be here. And then I'm going to use, oh, you know, I just thought of something. Good thing I thought of it, because I need a magnet. So I'm going to cover over the hinge by the other, other cream piece of paper that we're putting down on the base, or on the pattern paper. So I just put my magnet in there because it was a little bit closer and kept it down. Now I'm not putting a magnet on this larger insert page because it actually just pretty much moves just like it would move for another page. So because it's not really flipping and flapping around, I think that works pretty well. We'll just do that. So let's, we can get our frame onto here. And I just basically eyeballed it and put it onto my page where I thought it was best. And I didn't miter these edges because it's going under the cream frame, and I thought it would be fine. I think I'm gonna like that a little better already because it's not so thick. You know, if you're watching this after the fact, I was just thinking it might have been a good idea if I had done a 1/4 inch, you know, a 1/2 inch score with a 1/4 inch score, or even an 1/8 of an inch score. Might make that a little bit easier if it was going back. So just a thought. If you're watching this and you have not finished this off. Now, let me see. Okay, I'm going to put this right over here, and I guess I should have mitered those. It probably would have looked a little better. My other one, it didn't show, but I think I might have cut that a little bit differently. And my find my pokey tool. It's probably right in my face. Oh, there it is. There we go. Goodness, I'm so happy I didn't forget that. So we'll keep that down, and then that'll just go down right under that. even here. Okay. You can see there's a lot of different things that can be done as you go along. The other thing that I could have done on here is I could have put a piece of ribbon on the edge right here so that they would for sure know that it does open. I didn't think of that actually until just now, so that's also something else that you could do if you wanted to. I actually like the way that frame looks a little bit better. It's not quite so bumpy. So the next thing that I have done is I cut out this for the backing. Just want to see if this one will go down in here. I think we'll be fine. I know it doesn't look like it, but I think we will. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I did some double, triple layer matting on this because I wanted to have a little bit more of a frame on this piece. Oh, and before I do that, let's, one other thing that I did is I wanted to have a pull on my frame, and what I did is I took this sticker and I just took it to fold it in half. And actually it was a secondary thought when I was first doing it, so you can see on the front of it that I did not cover it all over, and which I really had wanted to do so that it looked just like a square pull. So what I'm going to do on here is I just folded that over, and I'm going to put that onto the cream. In the middle. And you will see that in the back, but that's okay. It's just in the front I didn't want it to necessarily be seen. So then I'm going to mat that. Okay, and the matting that I did for this, the insert, the cream frame was, or mat was 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. The navy was 4 by 6, and the pattern paper is 3 7/8 by 5 7/8. And I also did the vintage photo around the edges. Not sure there's an up and down on this, but to me that side looks better. And you don't have to do all these layers if you don't want to. I just thought it would look nice. And then what I ended up doing was putting a cut apart on the front of this. But I think I might wait, and I'll show you which cut apart I used. And actually with that, it's just one of the, I believe it's a 4 by 6 cut apart. There we go. Just want to be able to get this under here properly. because once it's in, and there's not really any fussing around with it. So the cut apart that I used on this was the one that was Bloom with Grace. So you can see where I didn't get it under, but I did get it under there. So, but I used the Bloom with Grace cut apart, and I glued that down onto here. So with this, I'm going to wait and put a different cut apart on this this time around, or a picture. So I'm going to wait to do that. This Bloom with Grace, which I just realized has this pattern paper around it, and I thought it was a third layer on there. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So I'm going to wait until I can put my picture on there, and I'm just going to leave that like that. Sorry about that. Sometimes you get going and you think you're doing all the right things, and next thing you know, you've done something. Do you ever get the common thread here? I keep apologizing for all my little mistakes, but I feel bad. So, okay, so now that we've got this in, we've got this on here. The other thing that I did on the inside of this is I did take these photo corners and I put them on the inside here just to give it a little bit of color. And you don't have to add them there if you don't want to, but I'm going to add them here. And then what I'm going to end up doing is, once everything is done, I will come back and add maybe some cut aparts, or possibly a sticker or something, maybe right here or down over here, or even on this side. We'll have to see what happens, but that's what I added inside here, and that closes like that. So that's the front of page 1. This is going into the inside of page 1, and on this page what ended up doing was three small frames, kind of a photo page right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and get those items all cut out and get them ready, and we'll take a look and see if we'll have time to work on some of this as well. Again, I just don't want the video to be too long. Thank you very much. I'll see you in a little bit. Bye. Hi, welcome back, crafters. I did go ahead and get started on some of this because I was having a problem, because this is a little bit smaller, like I said, than my original one. So these ended up being a little bit smaller. So these were cut by 2 7/8 by 3. All 3 of them were. And there's a little bit less room in between them. So I may end up putting some paper in there, but I'm going to leave that for right now until I get to the very end, rather than cutting all my pieces. But go ahead, if you cut this the right size, unlike me, what I ended up doing was I did the green strip down the side here, did purple here, and then a green pattern paper here. And then also this ended up being a little different because of the fact that, again, the size. I had done, this was a leftover piece of one of the larger, bigger fruit pages, and this is just cream cardstock with 3 of the stickers going down here. Now this is from your signature page, and I did that again. I cut that out of the signature page, and what we have for that, if you, how did it go? Something like, yes, like this. So that's how, so this was the top of that page. This was towards the middle bottom, and then, well, you might not be able to see, but then this was down all the way at the bottom. I know that what I ended up doing was cutting this in like this, and I ended up using this, I think, on a piece, either in one of the flaps or something, or for an insert or something. So what I thought I would do is, because I had this beautiful piece here still on top of here, I decided to take that and cut that off off of the top right here, and then I would put a cream strip in the middle. And what I think I'm going to do in the middle here is to add some kind of sticker or possibly some words. I don't really know exactly because it's a little different. One of the things that I did look at, and it's something you can consider as well, is I looked at one of the sticker strips, that putting that into there. But I'm almost thinking that I would like it better if I put a chipboard piece or something else. So I'm going to wait and we'll go back and do that at the end. But for now, what I want to do, so if you cut it just like I had cut it before, you're going to have a small strip of paper here, a bigger piece of cream cardstock here, and then you'll have your 3 stickers right along there. And that's what makes all of this so special, is that we just kind of go with the flow and change it up as we go a little bit. It's intrinsically stays the same, but there's just little things changed here or there, and who knows? It might end up liking it even better. But what I thought I would do is I was hoping that there might be, you know, some kind of cut apart or something like that might even fit in there nicely with something on either end. I'm just going to wait until the very end, because I don't want to add things to that until, so that it's not too different from what I did before. So these pieces, save them because we'll use them, whether it's the back or this part. So save that in your paper stack. And then we have this goes all the way down the middle here. And I did this green one long strip because I thought it looked cleaner to have one long strip instead of having a strip go across here and break there. I just thought it gave it a little bit more dimension. So, or not dimension, but delineation from one side to the other. So what I'm going to do is just vintage photo that. All right. And that green again is from the back of the paper that we were using before. So you should be able to have scraps that you could fit in here. This is about 1/2 of an inch of the pattern paper, 1/2 to 3/4. It's more closer to 1/2. And this is, for me, it's 9 3/8. So you should be able to, from one of the offcuts from the paper before, you should be able to cut this strip without having to cut additional papers. So now we could take and put small strips in there, depending upon what we have. See, I still have a few of these pieces left over from before. Look, they were all glued together. No, that side wouldn't work. But I could take something like that in a very fine strip. It's too fine. But see, I even saved these little ones because you just don't know if you need just a simple fill in somewhere. That might become useful. And I have other little strips that I saved in here in my extra paper. I wonder if I have one that's already cut. Let me just see real quick. This one, which we actually could without leaving something in between. I think I'm going to do that and just do that over those mats, and it'll give us it'll give us a little bit of color there. So I'm going to do that one. How many of you put a pencil mark on a piece of paper and then you can't see it? Okay, let's do this one. Let's see about this end. See how those little pieces come in handy. You don't think, see that would even, which one do you like better? This one or the fruit? I almost like that better because of the fact that the fruit you can't see too well. How about that? Let's do that. All right. I'm going to just hit the edges of this. I don't know if any of you ever watch Scrap Queen, but she is just the master of using her little pieces and making them just look seamless. They're just amazing. Oops, I see a little pencil mark there. Probably was from before. Put that in there. Put that in there. It looks a little bit more seamless as far as the pictures go. Save these pieces so that we can use them again if we need to. I think that works. All right, so the next part of this page, this is what the finished album looks like. So again, you can see I used purple here, and I used this pattern paper, had the little red berry in there, and some more of the fruit up here, and a larger piece. So whatever works for you. Sometimes you just kind of have to see what you have left and how it works out best for you. So on this page, we have a mat in here. And this is the back of the mat that we put leftover papers as well as some picture spots. Again, I'm not going to mat this right away because I haven't really even cut into this paper yet. So these sometimes, again, those are things that are left to the end. So what I'm going to do is we'll go and cut this mat, and we'll get the paper set for this side. And I will go ahead and we can get started on this. I'll show you a little bit about what I had done to work on this waterfall, but we're getting a little bit long, so that's probably all going to have to be when we come back the next time. So I'm going to finish up on what we've got right now, just because I'd rather have it less than an hour than an hour and a half. So, but you can see where we're going next, and look forward to seeing you again. And I'll try to have all of this cut out, and this page here, I'll get this all cut out too. It's going to be a pretty easy one because it's really just a belly band with matting, and so this should go pretty quickly. So we should get this done, and then that's the whole of page 1, and we'll go into hinge 2. It's because this is really page 2, but this is hinge 2. We'll get going onto those pages as well, so that we get a little bit further along. All right, well, crafters, thanks so much for joining me again, and I really look forward to seeing you the next time. Have a great day. Thanks.